Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the only two game NBA main slate on Thursday. NBA, I blame you. Do better with the scheduling. Spread the games out more. No one enjoys 13 game slates and then 2 game slates. So I blame this on you, NBA. But again, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and a live stream for NBA, NFL slates. Also make videos for NBA Top Shot, NFL All Day. Recently did a prize picks video today. You guys really enjoy that, so looking to continue that. If you're unable to watch the YouTube videos, I do upload an Apple podcast. Link is down below. It is called the DK DFS Show. Premium content offered on patreon.com, NFL, and an NBA package. We cover we cover the showdown slates where I was this close on the showdown slate to take it down and win $8,000 tonight, guys. But I got caught at the very end by the BMO Jewelers. So it was a really easy slate to leave salary on the table, and everyone in large field tournaments just loves using all their salary. So I left $3,000 on the table and went to BMO, or went Jalen Smith over BMO. And BMO caught me at the very end. So that was painful. Not gonna lie. But the sponsor of this video, guys, today is Thrive Fantasy. If this is your first time watching my videos and you're not familiar with Thrive, so how it works, it's a player prop site. You actually build out a lineup on player props, and then you can enter contests. So on a smaller site like tonight, you only pick 5 of the 10 player props. The less probable the prop is to occur, the more points you receive. Pretty decent size prizes. They're usually a little bit bigger than this, but again, it's only 2 gamers. So, like for example, LeBron James 5.5 assists. The over is way more likely to hit. So if it does hit, you only get 75 points. If the under hits, which is extremely unlikely, you do get 125 points. Obviously, there's some game theory involved. Taking some risks on stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up and use my code DKDFS. It's DKDFS, all one word. You get a 100% match up to $100. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of just speechless as to what occurred tonight, right? It was, and I mean this close to, I was this close to getting my notepad, right? Getting my notepad and have to write down all the stuff that happened. This close. It was that close to the notepad slate. But okay, so where do we even start here? Let's start with Mr. Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert, low owned, smash matchup. 2 quick fouls. Okay. We can still make this up, right? 2 fouls in 3 minutes. That is extremely, extremely unlucky, but we can still make this up. Great matchup, LeVert can still do this. Comes back in the second quarter. 3rd right away. Why not, right? And then start half. He's played like 8 minutes in the first half. Start the second half. How about a 4th? And how about Rick Carlisle? Even though they're trailing by a decent amount, put LeVert to the bench, right? Basically just waving the white flag. Like, when will coaches learn? That infuriates me to know. So Caris LeVert played like 20 minutes tonight. And then the game turns into a massive blowout. Can we also talk about Chalk LaMelo Ball playing 53 minutes? Literally just didn't leave the court. If the game didn't blow out, he would have played over 40 minutes. He was on pace for 42 minutes. He's been playing like 30 minutes a game, even in competitive games. Ownership goes up. Why not play him an extra 10 minutes? LaMelo Ball was playing in that game when they were up by 30 with 6 minutes left. I'm looking at my phone, just like, is this seriously happening? Is this seriously happening? And then Kelly Oubre hit 10 threes tonight. He went for a 60 bomb. If you played Kelly Oubre last couple slates and then you faded him tonight, that is ultimate pain. Let me tell you, that is ultimate pain. So There's that. The Orlando Magic. The Magic and Mr. Cole Anthony. So, as I'm sure some of you saw on Twitter, Cole Anthony has lost me just insane amount of money over the last couple of weeks, right? I played Cole Anthony just every single slate, every time. Shoots 3 of 15, 3 of 11, right? It's Jalen Suggs' game. Just every time, the last couple of weeks, he has lost me so much money. So, finally fade him tonight, right? The price is up a bit. They're getting a couple guys back. I just can't, I couldn't deal with it anymore. I couldn't deal with Cole Anthony just losing me so much money. So I finally fade, and he goes for 50 fantasy points. A 50 bomb for Cole Anthony. I'm very, very happy for him and all those that played him. 50 fantasy points for Cole Anthony. Wow, right? Isn't that amazing? 50. The Sacramento Kings, send them to the G League and send them to the G League immediately. They should not be playing NBA games anymore. So, I should have had Halliburton in my lineup, but it was one of those slates where we didn't have news until after lock for a lot of these games. So I was answering a ton of questions on Discord, and then just ran out of time. Thought I had him in there, I didn't have him in there. So I had to move some things around. But yeah, I mean, the Kings, they were up by like 20 in the first quarter. The next thing you know, they're down by like 30. How? How was that even possible? How? Okay. Terrence Mann having a really good game through 3 quarters, 20 fancy points. I'm like, all right, he's chalky, but this is good. The faders are going to get punished. Nah. Let's dust off Justice Winslow and close with him, even though Terrence Mann is playing very well. It's Justice Winslow season. Nicholas Nurse. Nick Nurse. Well, I'm not going to bring it up, but I'll read it to you. All right. Nicholas Nurse. It's only 2 games, so again, the tilting, and this is just, again, it was very close to notebook slate, so I apologize if you guys want to fast forward and skip the tilting, you can, but a couple more minutes here I got, all right? Nicholas Nurse. Before the game starts, intention is to play a 9 to 10 man rotation, with the schedule getting tougher and a few back-to-backs ahead. Says the depth could be different each night. Okay? Looking at that quote, thinking, okay, Siakam's going to be relatively popular without Van Fleet. I'm going to fade him, I'm going to trust that Nick Nurse is telling the truth. Back-to-back, Siakam just played like 48 minutes last night. Let's take it easy on his minutes a bit. So what happens tonight? 43 minutes for Pascal Siakam. $43. Okay. What else was there? I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So I use those nuts value. I mean, the James Johnson game was a little bit unreal. Like, I played him, but that was just unreal. He almost had at one point, he was on pace for a quadruple double. He had like 5, 5, 5, and 3 steals like early in the first half. I'm looking at this. I'm like, are we going to get a quadruple double from James Johnson? He almost had a triple double with 3 steals, but he absolutely smashed Patty Mills and Aldridge. I was a little bit worried about playing 3 just because the way Steve Nash is just the woe with his rotations, but it's just the way that salary worked out for me that I ended up getting to those 3. And it worked out. The Nets guys did come through. I used John Morant, DeJounte Murray pairing. Again, I wanted to play Halliburton, but it locked and I didn't have him in by mistake. So I ended up going to DeJounte Murray pairing, which was fine. DeJounte Murray started the game like 1 of 16. So if he had a half decent shooting game, he would have absolutely smashed. And then Cam Johnson was just fine for 22 fancy points. But I mean, that was one of the more tilting slates of the season for sure. Winning lineup in high stakes. To no surprise, Halliburton in there. Again, he was massive chalk, as he should have been. Just, again, demote the Kings to the G League. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of losing money with this stupid roster. Send them to the G League. But yeah, winning lineup was Halliburton, who was massive chalk, LaMelo Ball, Patty Mills, Johnson, Aldridge, Gary Trent, Bembry, and Jokic, who had a letdown. I mean, Jokic had like 10 at half. I'm looking at that against the Nets. How is that even possible? But yeah, that was the winning lineup in high stakes. Let's see. Was there any other ownership I wanted to mention? Luka was pretty popular. He was fine. That game turned into a blowout, which killed my last prize picks bet of over on Porzingis and Nurkic boards. Just random blowout. Let's see. Was there any massive bust that I wanted to talk about ownership-wise? Obviously, Halliburton was very, very popular. LeVert didn't get a ton of ownership. Again, played like 20. There was like that game. The Hornets scored 160 points in regulation. I mean, what? All right, yeah. So I think that's it for the look back, guys. Again, an extremely tilting night. But let's talk. And again, this close to taking on the showdown slate, but the Biombo Jewelers had to pass me at the end. So let's talk about Lakers and 76ers here. And this is a 2-game slate. You should play light, right? There's teams on here. Every time I see a Golden State on a small slate, it just causes me pain, right? I just don't want to talk about that rotation. I really, really don't. And talking about this Lakers value, I mean, it might be worse. It is disgusting. But yeah, we'll start at the top. LeBron James, 11.1. With Anthony Davis back, still had a solid game. I think he's a safe play. I don't love him at this price with Westbrook and Anthony Davis both healthy, but he's been playing really, really well, and he does have that small forward eligibility, which is kind of nice. Anthony Davis, will keep an eye on the news here. So he only played 25 minutes. He was in some foul trouble. If we get confirmation there's no limit on AD, then I think he makes for a pretty good play sub 10K. If they're going to continue to limit his minutes like they did last game, I'm probably going to stay away. So we'll keep an eye on the news there. Russell Westbrook at 8.5. I mean, it's hard to go to him, right? He had a couple of games before Anthony Davis came back, but I mean, he's been very, very disappointing. So it's nothing more than a tournament option. Now the value, Malik Monk is probably the guy you're going to feel the best about. Minutes for him, he's been hovering around like mid to high 20s. He is a guy that can score the ball. The Lakers obviously need shooters, so I think Malik Monk's a solid value. Carmelo Anthony, 4.3K. Again, we probably see low 20s minutes from him. Another kind of fair value play. Below that, it's going to be hard to trust anyone. Like, you're going to see guys like Austin Reeves and THT get minutes. Both guys are very, very low usage. Reeves, extremely score independent. Again, THT has been very disappointing this year. He is only 3.5, but yeah, it's still hard for me to get excited about it. Ariza was a DNP last game, so I would not go there. Stanley Johnson at 3.3, so like he's more out there for his defense. He's been playing minutes. He's not going to do much on the court offensively, but like he is close to mid price, and we probably see some decent minutes for him. So like he's playable for that reason. Avery Bradley, probably a little bit better of a point per minute guy between the two. However, he is still very score independent. I think we probably get mid-20s minutes from him, which makes him, again, in play. And then keep an eye on the starting lineup here. So this is the big front court against Philadelphia with Embiid. I wonder if they start Dwight Howard here at the 5. If they do, he's in play. Last couple games he's been starting, but hasn't been playing much. This game he had 5 fouls, but like you don't have to go too far back. Like against Denver, big front court, he played 21 minutes. Against the Jazz, he played 22. So like if they do start Dwight Howard, I think he's in play. The minutes would not be secure. Like there'd be a chance Dwight Howard would start and play like 10 minutes. But there's also that chance that if he starts, he could play like 20 minutes if they want him out there to defend Jokic. Or not Jokic, Embiid. Embiid. It's been a long night, guys. An extremely tilting night. So Embiid, my bad. Moving on to Philadelphia, where we got to talk about Joel Embiid now at 11.4, who's just, this guy's just on a tear. I mean, he is just absolutely dominating. Real life points last 4 games. 50, 40, 38, and 42 fancy points. And now he gets the Lakers to play no defense. So I really, really like Embiid here. I do not think that's a contrarian take. I also think Tobias Harris at 7.3 makes for a pretty good play in the mid-range. He's playing massive minutes, 40, 36, and 39. He went on a stretch where he was kind of disappointing, but the price point plus the matchup make him look pretty good. Tyrese Maxey's probably going to play like 45 minutes, but he's kind of taking a backseat to Embiid and Tobias Harris. So the price doesn't stand out really there. Korkmaz, I think, is in play if there's no Danny Green. Keep an eye on Danny Green. He's questionable. If Danny Green's out, then Korkmaz probably starts and continues to play like big minutes. Now, we've seen Korkmaz kind of shift back to what he was last year, kind of being scoring dependent. When the roster is really thin, they're missing a lot of guys. He can stuff a stat sheet, but like when he's playing alongside guys like Embiid and Tobias Harris, he kind of turns into more that scoring dependent player. So if there's no Danny Green, I do think he plays big minutes and definitely viable for tournaments. Drummond, a little revenge game narrative. I mean, he's been playing the backup 5. I don't think it's actually the worst play on this slate, just because like Drummond's going to be productive when he's on the court, and he is sub 4K. So I actually do have some interest in Drummond. Thibault probably plays some pretty big minutes. They're going to need him on defense against the likes of like LeBron. Maybe they'll throw him on Westbrook a bit. So I actually think Thibault's playable, right? I think he does play over 30 minutes. Niang, definitely a risky value. I think we probably get around 20 minutes from him off the bench, but more of a large field tournament play. If Danny Green plays and starts, then sure, you can play Danny Green. But that guy is just, I don't think I can do it. All right, Minnesota and Golden State. Another team that's really been frustrating me lately, guys. Minnesota. So let me just talk about this. All right. I played Karl-Anthony Towns a couple games ago against Brooklyn. Bust. Against Portland, smash. 17, 17, and 4 blocks. D'Angelo Russell. I have played this guy probably 10 times this season, a majority of the time when both Cat and Edwards are out, and he busts every time. And then, he starts just smashing and smashing. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to D'Lo here in a good match against Portland. Bust. It's the Ant-Man smash. I just can't get these 3 right. I can't. Golden State, they're known for a good defensive team, but they do play fast. So my thoughts on the 3 main guys from Minnesota is I like all 3, but trying to figure out who's gonna have the big game on a night-to-night basis is very, very hard, right? It was Ant-Man last game. It was D'Lo a couple games ago. It was Cat. Like, it's just like, you don't know. So that's the tricky part with Minnesota is I think all 3 are solid tournament plays, but I don't know if there's one guy that really stands out here. Jarrett Vanderbilt, 5'5". Well, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he probably plays over 30 minutes. Like, he's a guy that can kind of do everything. We saw him have a massive game last game. Now it's kind of an outlier. But again, I think he's solid if he can stay out of foul trouble. So kind of a play I'm indifferent on. I'll keep an eye on the stats of Beverly and Jalen Noel. They're both questionable. If they're both out, I think it kind of boosts the appeal of D'Angelo Russell, who'll just be handling the ball more, kind of boosts his floor with the assist. And if they're both out, I might have to lose more money with Malik Beasley, who's just been awful over the last couple of games. But he is only 3.6K. He probably would play pretty big minutes if both Beverly and Noel are out. McDaniels at 3-4, more out there for his defense. Minutes have kind of fluctuated on him. If he starts, I think you can look to him. And then Naz Reid, kind of in the same boat as like an Andre Drummond, a guy that'll be productive off the bench. But you're not going to see big minutes from him, right? I think we probably see 10 to maybe 15 unless something happens to Karl-Anthony Towns. All right, and then, and if Patrick Beverly ends up playing, I think he looks really good, right? He's only 4.2K. So if he ends up playing, he looks good. If Pat Beverly's out and Noel plays, I think Noel's viable for tournaments, a guy that's actually been pretty productive off the bench for the Timberwolves this year. So yeah, keep an eye on the news there for those 2 Timberwolves. And finally, Golden State. Steph Curry, he is cheap. At 10.3, it is pretty cheap for him. He's still looking definitely bust, though, because the floor's there, right? He can go for 50 plus, 60 plus, but a majority of the time he's gonna hurt you more often than he comes through. So I like Steph Curry. It's gonna be interesting to see what the ownership though is. Small slate. The last small slate he was pretty high owned. Like that was the slate where it was like Pistons Warriors, just disgusting 2-game slate. But if I have the feeling that Steph Curry is gonna be pretty popular, then I'm perfectly fine fading, right? Andrew Wiggins, 5'7". Sure, he's fine. He'll probably get mid-20s fantasy points. The guy just never, ever comes through for me. Klay Thompson, 5'3". Do kind of like the price in him. Now, the minutes have been slowly ticking up. Started about 20. Played 26 last game. Now, with Klay, they're running a lot of their offense to him. Like, early on in the game, they're trying to get a lot of shots to Klay Thompson. So, I actually kind of like him at this price at 5'3". Poole will come off the bench. I think he's in play for tournaments. I think I feel a little bit better about Klay, but they're going to play similar minutes, I guess. So they're pretty similar plays in Poole and Klay Thompson. Now, Otto Porter most likely continues to start. He's 5.1K. I think we probably get mid to high 20s minutes from him, which makes him a relatively safe play. Otto Porter's been really good for the Warriors, a guy that can kind of do it all. And then Kevon Looney against a big Minnesota front court. I think we probably get close to that 30-minute mark for him, which makes him a fair value, right? He's not a super productive player, but a guy that's a decent rebounder, and I think they're going to need his defense to guard Karl Anthony Towns. Off the bench, not much interest in Kuminga. He barely played until the game was a blowout. Again, you can never trust Steve Kerr. Like, Kuminga could start again and play 25 minutes. You just never really know. Gary Payton at 3.9. I mean, his minutes have actually been trending down a little bit. I think he's playable more in a large field tournament. Bjelica I'm intrigued by because he's the backup 5. He's been playing like 15 to 18 minutes off the bench. So I don't hate going to Bjelica at a cheap price point, right? Because he'll be productive when he's on the court. And then Damian Lee, we're probably going to see, around 20 minutes from him. Again, just more of a large field tournament play. And then I don't think anyone else sees the rotation unless this game turns into a massive blowout. But if we take a look at Popcorn Machine, we saw last game, it was Otto, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Looney that started. You had Gary Payton and Poole, the first guys off the bench, followed by Bjelica and Lee, and then followed by Kuminga, who played like 5 minutes in the first half. And then, at the end of the game, when the game's a massive blowout, they dusted off JTA, Moses Moody, and Chris Chiozza, who should not be in an NBA roster at all. But yeah, so that is the breakdown, guys. That's going to do it for the video. If you haven't enjoyed the content, again, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I hope for this small slate that there's very little tilting for you guys. Hope you guys win big. And yeah, that's all I got. So good luck, and I will see you all in the next video.